Greetings and welcome to Discerning Truth. Is Lucifer really the devil? Can it be proven that Lucifer or Satan are one and the same person? We'll take a look at that in this little study here for a few minutes. As far back as I can remember, Lucifer has been identified with Satan. The terms were used interchangeably. This is especially true in the fundamentalist camp, which I'm a member of. Well, they've kind of disowned me, but I'm a member of the fundamentalist Bible-believing camp. But I don't know of any notable fundamentalist writer who believes otherwise. They just treat the terms Lucifer, devil, and Satan as synonymous. But this is another example of one of the many presuppositions that people bring to the Bible when they read it. They treat the Lucifer and Satan being synonymous as an indisputable fact. But even though Satan and the devil are referred to many times in the Scriptures, Lucifer is found only once, and that's in Isaiah 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? And again, that is only found in the King James Bible. The newer translations won't even use the word Lucifer. They use morning star and different things. We're not going to get into why the King James Version uses Lucifer, but we're just going to get into and try to determine if he is the devil or the devil is him. But it goes without saying that Satan, that is the devil, Satan, the serpent, is the definitive bad guy in the Bible. I mean, he deceives Eve, he accuses Job, he tempts the Lord Jesus Christ, he seeks to devour saints as a roaring lion. He's just plain bad. But is he Lucifer? Well, I'll give you the simple answer right up front. You couldn't prove from the Bible that Satan or the devil is Lucifer if your life depended on it. Facts in the Bible, as well as anywhere else, boil down to what one can prove. Can the contention be proven with explicit Bible statements to be true? Well, then it can be treated as a fact. If something cannot be proven, then it cannot be established as a certainty or a fact. The contention made may be likely, or it may even be probable, or the circumstantial evidence may be very, very strong. But that does not make it a provable fact, and anything unproven always has the possibility of being untrue. So, to start off, let's look at some facts that we can prove from the Bible. And let's go to Isaiah 14 and see if we can see exactly what it's talking about and who it's talking to. So let's open up Bible Analyzer's presenter, and we'll go there. And here in the left column, you'll find Isaiah 14. And you'll notice in verse 4 it says, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the King of Babylon. King of Babylon. So now we know who it's written to. The King of Babylon. Now, what is something that we can know about kings in the Bible? Well, the term King of Babylon is a phrase that is found 135 times in the Scriptures. 135 times. And every time you see it, it is referring to a human king. So, since there's such a preponderance of evidence that what the term King of Babylon means, if someone's going to say it means something else, well, then they're going to have some strong evidence to indicate that. You got to have strong evidence. That is, you're going to have some other explicit statements to state that the King of Babylon here is different from all the other King of Babylons. Either contextual proof or explicit statements somewhere else. But no such statement exists. Thus, we must start from the premise and start from the straightforward basis that Isaiah 14 refers to a human king. Now, let's go back there and we'll find something else. If you go back here and down to verse 16, it also says, is this the man that made the earth to tremble? So notice, at the beginning part of this, we have a human king. And at the ending part of this section, you have a human being specifically identified. Is this the man? Well, the devil's not a man. Satan's not a man. He's a spirit. Satan wasn't born of a woman. He didn't have a mother. So here, we find here, he's a man in verse 16. He's a man in verse 4. Then you look what's highlighted here, all of the personal pronouns. Thee, thou, thy. I don't know if thine's in there or not, but it would be another one. What? They're all referring to this same person. Now, most of the people who believe that Lucifer is Satan will concede that it is referring to the human king until you get to verse 12. And in verse 12 it says, How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? So here we have that passage. So they'll say, well, it's the human king in 11, and even past 12, say verse 15 and 16, it's back to the human king. But in verses 12, 13, 14, 15, it's referring to Lucifer, or referring to the Satan before he fell. Well, that's an interesting thing to say, but you can see when you look inside the text there's nothing to indicate that. The same thy, thee, and thous is referred to all the way through. And the I wills, the famous 5 I wills of Lucifer, they all refer to the same person, the man, the Lucifer, the king. Now, somebody say, how did they get there? How do they arrive and try to claim that that is Satan? Well, as we said, most will agree that the human king is the subject down to verse 12, but then the claim is made that Lucifer must be Satan. And they arrive at this largely because they take the Latin meaning of the word Lucifer, which is light bearer, and then claim that when Christ said he beheld Satan as lightning falling from heaven, that's in right there, Luke 10:18, and he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven, that it's referring back to Isaiah 14:12, where it speaks about Lucifer. But here's the thing. There's no mention of light or lightning in Isaiah 14. But here it says he beheld Satan as lightning. Well, then they will go back and they'll say, oh, well, the word Lucifer means light bearer. Okay, if you say so, but you won't find that in the King James Bible. Nowhere in the King James Bible will you find that the word Lucifer has any specific meaning, especially to do with light. You have to get that outside of the Bible. So, what we arrive at, that this is an interesting theory, but it's nothing but pure conjecture based upon nothing but similar phrasing and opinion. Furthermore, the way many Bible believers construct this theory violates a principle that they'll chastise others for using when they use it for another purpose. And I won't get into all that, but that's because since they go outside of the Bible to get the meaning of Lucifer, other people may go outside of the Bible to get the meaning of something else, but they won't allow that. But they will allow it here when it serves their purpose. Now, some believers insist Satan must be the ultimate king of Babylon, since Babylon has such a negative and evil presence in the scriptures, such as Babel and Revelation 17 and so forth. But that's just more speculation. There is nothing in the Bible that proves one word of Isaiah 14 applies directly to Satan. As we saw, Isaiah 14:16 calls Lucifer a man, which Satan definitely is not. The explanation usually given is the passage is addressing both the human king and Satan as a double reference. And there are double references in the Bible. One of them is like in Matthew 16:22, where the Lord calls Peter Satan. And they'll use that as an example. You know, Satan desires to have you and all of that, where the Lord calls Peter Satan. But whenever the Lord addressed Peter as Satan, he used the word Satan. In Isaiah 14, the word Satan is not found. So that's a false comparison. That does not prove at all that there's a double reference there. The phrase, how art thou fallen from heaven, could simply be mockery and sarcasm, since ancient kings often considered themselves to be a demigod of sorts. You'll find that over in Daniel 4:30, where the king spake and said, is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by my might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? Those are pretty high-sounding words there as well, aren't they? And that's the king of Babylon speaking. They could fit right into Isaiah 14. They thought a lot of themselves. They thought very much of themselves. And as for being a light bearer or a morning star, meaning of Lucifer, kings and royals of ages past are often referred to as such. Even centuries later, in the 16th century, Queen Elizabeth of England is called that bright and occidental star in the dedicatory of the King James Bible. She's called a bright star. Fascinating. So, the five I wills in the passage of Isaiah 14 could merely be reflecting the immense pride and arrogance the Babylonian king and something history says that they were known for. That's the way the Babylonian kings acted. Let's see another comparison here in the scriptures when we take a quick comparison to Ezekiel 28, which also, many people also believe refers to Lucifer, or actually refers to Satan. But in Ezekiel 28, let's go back here. Ezekiel 28 here in the right column, you'll notice the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, go to the prince of Tyrus. Now notice that's another human being. That's another human king or a human prince. Same way as it is over here, king of Babylon. So he tells Ezekiel, which is the son of man, to say to the prince of Tyrus all these things. And he says, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man and not God. See, notice that very clearly. Thou art a man and not God, though thou set thine heart as the heart of God. Fascinating. Here, the prince of Tyrus sets his heart and mind as if he is a god. He acts as a god, he behaves as a god, he thinks, and he wants to be treated as a god. And then the Lord gets sarcastic with him. He says, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. Oh, really? I don't think so. I think the Lord's being sarcastic. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. We know he's being sarcastic there because that means he knows everything. And we know no man knows everything. No man on this earth ever knew everything. So here, the Lord is being sarcastic. Say, oh, so you're wiser than Daniel. So no one can hide anything from you. You know everything. And then verse 4, with thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver and thy treasures, on and on. Notice, see, the thys, the these, the thous, same as over here. It's all me, 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 me. Look what I've done. Look what I've done for me. Look how powerful I am. Look how strong I am. Then we get down here to chapter 28, verse 9. Wilt thou yet say before him that slayeth thee, I am God? See, there the Lord really digs in on him there. Said, what about the guy that's going to kill you? You going to tell him you're a God too? But thou shalt be a man and no God in the hand of him that slayeth thee. And Ezekiel 28 is another chapter which many people will say refers to Lucifer. But we're beginning to see here, when we let the scriptures speak for themselves, that application is strained. Now, I'm not saying there's no connection at all. I'm not saying that at all. I can't prove that it's not. But definitely you cannot prove that it is a reference to Satan or the devil. The simple truth is Isaiah 14 may have some application to Satan as the possible spirit or motivation behind the human king. But it is by no means proven and by no means certain and should never be used as the foundation for any other doctrine. It shouldn't. It would be building a foundation upon sand. But that does not keep many people from doing so. We'll get into other lessons later where people will make a foundation of Lucifer and how he fell, as we find here, which may be true, but they can't prove it. The immediate context of Isaiah 14 and even Ezekiel 28 is a human king, and it takes more than conjecture, speculation, and assumption to overthrow or even modify that fact. So when the listener hears someone talk in a matter-of-fact manner about Isaiah 14 referring to Satan, you can take it with a grain of salt, because his presuppositions are showing. The Lord could have easily made it clear that Lucifer became Satan. But if that is true, he kept it ambiguous for a reason. And we need to acknowledge and respect ambiguity. And there's quite a bit of ambiguity in the scriptures, and they're in there for a reason and for a cause. Many elaborate and fanciful theories have been promoted concerning Lucifer, with some being presented as fact. But the simple truth is, no one can conclusively prove from the scriptures that Lucifer and Satan are the same person, or the same individual, or the same entity. They couldn't prove it if their life depended on it. So, in conclusion, instead of referring to the devil, if Isaiah 14 applies to anyone besides the Babylonian king, it seems more fitting to apply to the coming Antichrist. It doesn't refer to a past fall, but a future one. Daniel 8 speaks of this and has some similarities with Isaiah 14. It speaks about the little horn waxed great and all that, even to the host of heaven. And also how he magnifies himself and exalts himself and waxes great. That has indications and similarities to Isaiah 14, and there may be a connection. But these events haven't happened yet. They're future events. So the facts that can be discerned from this study are: the statements about Lucifer in Isaiah 14 are explicitly stated only to a human Babylonian king. There's no other biblical passages that state Lucifer is or became Satan. And there are a couple passages that indicate there may be a connection between the two, but nothing definitive, and any claims asserting so are merely speculation or conjecture, and sound doctrine cannot and should not be built upon either. Thank you.